the field, Trackstarz.
Yeah, we are back in the field with the Trackstarz. Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. We got another topic. We were talking off air about why you laughing? About
you saw your brow.
No, because we were talking about people that we know that have been in situations where their spouses cheated and they've stayed.
Yeah.
First of all, first thing we asked was, do you have any biblical obligation to stay with somebody that cheats on you?
No, you do not.
You don't have what? Say it again.
Sears raising his hand. No,
do you have a biblical obligation to stay with somebody that cheats on you?
Oh yeah, you don't.
No,
you don't.
I wonder if anybody would say yes though.
But it's a decision, because I mean, Scripture tells us that only way out of divorce, really, from Jesus' standpoint, was if adultery happened. Okay. So
or abandonment.
Did he say abandonment too?
Yeah.
I thought it was just adultery.
Well, I'm gonna have to double check that. But go ahead.
Okay, so all of us agree that if somebody commits adultery, then the divorce is not taboo for you as a Christian.
Yeah.
So, but people still choose to stay. Is that wrong?
It's hard.
I don't think it's wrong. I think that's, to be honest with you, and I heard somebody say this before. It said what happened when him and his wife, something happened with them. He said that was the death. That was the worst part. In the vows it says, for best or worst, or what I'm saying, like that's the worst part. That's something worse. You know what I mean? Because everybody think. I mean, this is what he used as an example. That was the worst part, because some people think the worst part is always something like if I get sick and you gotta take care of me. That's worse, but that's the worst thing too. But that's just a choice. So maybe for her to stay with that person is just like, yo, this is worse for me, but I'm gonna still stick it out with you.
I'm gonna need the Lord to speak loud and clear on that one, for real.
It's kind of funny. I don't know if it's smart to stay, and it goes back and forth for me. It's like it can be a redeeming thing. Like you're like, this person did this. If they're truly sorry, then maybe I want to forgive them. You know what I mean? Give them a second chance, because that's what Jesus would do for me, because I failed so many times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But in some instances, some people have chronic problems, and this is a ongoing thing for them. And that first forgiveness is just a gateway to every other thing that's about to happen.
So you don't think somebody could cheat? Once a cheat, always a cheat?
I'm not gonna say that. That's not good. If you want to chop it, like I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that the possibility is there. If you did it once, it's possible to happen more than once. Like, not to say that it will, but it's possible. And so I don't know. I was never that smart, but I don't know.
Now, okay, this may go a different direction, but so well, first of all, does kids change it? If you have kids,
I think for the woman it does, honestly, because we feel an obligation to keep that child covered, and to, there are a lot of things that we do for the sake of our family, putting our careers on hold, and, putting certain things aside so that we can keep our family together. And I think staying with our husbands, knowing, that we're not happy, or, in some cases being cheated on, I think is a very, very realistic possibility for a woman.
Now, okay, this is a question I have. If you have cheated and your wife believes that if you cheat, she's gone, should you tell her?
Say that again.
If you have cheated on your wife, it's already done. You're sorry about it. You really feel horrible about
husband.
it. But you know that if you tell her, she's gone.
No,
what do you do?
I think you do need to tell her. I mean, you're in covenant with that person, and I mean, if she leaves, that's the consequence of it. But I believe you need to, and not just from the standpoint that you guys are in covenant, but from a physical standpoint. Like, you don't want to. That woman needs to know if you subjected her to anything or anyone else, and you have.
Okay. Just because I know somebody, hopefully it won't come back. I know somebody who they've cheated on their wife, and they feel horrible about it. But they know if they tell their wife, it's going to be it. And he doesn't want to lose his wife. So what does he do?
truth shall set you free.
That's a scary place. You know what I mean? To be in a place where you're with somebody who you love, you know, but you've done them wrong, and you know you've done them legitly wrong. Like you know you messed up, and when you're in a place where you messed up and you're like for real sorry about it, to ever bring that up to the person, to see the hurt, especially if you love them, to see the hurt that's going to be on their face, along with the consequence that's going to come with that, you want to hide that for the rest of your life. But what I found out is that the Bible is so real that whatever done in the darkness will come to the light.
It's real.
The only way to like stop the consequence of the eventual is to bring it out yourself.
Yeah, don't let the sister get mad. I mean, the sister that he cheated with get upset. She'll put him on blast, and then it's really a wrap.
Or there'll be other consequences.
Now, let me ask you this. As a woman, do you keep that to yourself? Do you tell everybody, or do you tell a selective few that your husband cheated on you?
I would personally use the whole phrase or principle of venting up. Like, there would be people that we would be accountable to, and people that we know stand in agreement in support of our marriage that would know of the situation. But that's not something I personally would put on blast, you know, unless that's something we decide down the road is a part of our testimony, which it could very well be, but not in that moment. We working through some stuff.
And what is adultery? Is there almost adultery? Like, is there?
Now, that's another one I was thinking about. Like,
I didn't do anything all the way wrong, but I had too much of a relationship with somebody.
What about emotional adultery?
The Bible says, though, if you even think the thought, then you've already committed it, which is scary because it's like, dog, like, you know, I don't even have to get as far as something emotional or something physical. So, you know, I think all of that falls within the category of adultery. It's no almost. It's like you can't say you almost pregnant.
I mean, that whole emotional cheating thing is that's a big deal. I was wondering if like that happened to me. I wasn't wondering. I was very set on if I ever got emotionally cheated on, I was done. Because when women emotionally cheat, they really cheat. Like, I mean, I think. Well, this is just I'm so bad. Am I wrong? Or is there some validity to the fact that women hold a lot of the weight of their relationships in their emotional interactions with people?
You're absolutely right. I mean, as a man, I would feel worse, if I were a man, I would feel worse if I was emotionally cheated on by a woman, because we as women, that's our intimacy. Like, for men, I think intimacy is more physical, but for women, it's emotional all day long. If you have us emotionally, if you have our hearts, our bodies are soon to follow. And so that is, in my opinion, a greater threat for a man.
So if I'm in love, like I'm in love with my wife, if I'm so in love with my wife, and I have to share her heart with somebody else, at that point, like that's too much for me to handle.
All right, so like we got a little, like 5 minutes left and talking. So let me ask y'all this. So it sounds like that Shantana and Cynthia is, if you get cheated on, rap.
That's the thing. Like, I wouldn't know how I would be able to say, but I don't think I would want to leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a person that you spend a lot of your life pursuing and building stuff with, and if they're legitly like, I really messed up, and they're crying, and it's like, to be like, yo, well, forget you, it's hard. I see how people can stick with it, you know what I mean? But I know, especially past emotional, the physical, if somebody physically cheats on me, that would be really hard. I know emotional is bad too, but physical, that's to get my mind around that would be really difficult for me.
Is it the fact that you thinking like, did this dude do something with my wife that I haven't done, or
no? Did he do something with my wife that I have done? That would be enough. Okay, if he did new stuff.
Try new moves with my wife. Yeah,
what about the old one?
But I mean, I think my thing is, it's like, I'm so in love with this woman. You know what I mean? Like, so deeply in love with this woman, to think about losing her beyond what she did to me is so hard to fathom. You understand?
Yeah.
It's like it's so hard to think about my life without her. So I'm almost like Sean in that regard. Like, I don't know. Even though something got to change, I know that for a fact. Like, whatever the situation was before that allowed this to happen, that got to change. But, I mean, who am I to stop a grown person from cheating with another grown person?
Now, babe, I got to put you on the spot because I know you had a viewpoint on this as well. So I would love for you to share that.
Well, I was saying, I was saying that I felt like a second chance is there, but I'm saying that now because I'm not in a marriage relationship or anything of that sort. But I would say a second chance. I think the fool me once rule hits. Well, after that, you fooled me once, shame on me. Fooled me twice. You know.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I messed it up. but I think it's just a twice. You know, it's not three. Like, yeah, I think that's the thing, though. You know,
if that's happened, because there's people listening that may have actually gone through this. How do you go back to being like everything's cool and being close to your wife when that's already happened? Like, that's gotta. Like,
Yeah,
how do you do that?
That's rough, and not to say I've been through it, but it's a process. I can only imagine, like, just like in a friendship, when somebody breaks your trust, you know, it takes time for that to be regained and built up again.
No, that's very true. Like, what happens is that at that moment you have a decision to make, and when you make a decision, you have to go with it either way. Like, if you decided at that point, I will stick in this situation, then like she said, time will heal that wound. You know what I mean? And if that person is sincere, like, no, but if that person is legit, like, you know, in their sorrow, I mean, I'm just saying it's not
No pun intended.
Thank you. So if the person legit in their sorrow and they're for real and they're going to change, then forgiveness is in order and you can move forward if you choose to. But you have a choice. You can make one move or the other. If you decide to stay and that's really in the past, then you got to let that be in the past and you have to move forward with that. And time will heal that wound. Just
now, let me ask you a question, and it'll probably be our last question. Do you think, is it really in the past for a man, or is it really, or for a woman? Like, what I mean by that, like, once that happens and you decide to stay, either both, do people still keep it? Like, the whole forgive and forget. Like, some people are like, I can forgive you, but I can't forget. So do you think, like, these people are still, like, harboring that? Like if you decide to stay and you still thinking about it, like, I can't believe this dude cheated on me, and it's like 2 or 3 years later, then, like,
Yeah, as a woman, it's hard for me not to forget. It's hard for me to, like, not run that mental tab in my head, like, and then you did, and I remember when, you know. But it's possible. It just takes the Lord, though, for real. Because when you say that you forgive somebody and that you're willing to do the work necessary to rebuild and move forward, then that's part of the work. Whether you know, were the victim or not, you've got to put in the work and not hold that past against your spouse.
Yeah. Cheating. I think cheating is so involved. It's so involved. It's like you have to the act, the lie to make sure that you don't get caught during the act, the time, the space, all the stuff that you need to get in the right place, and like I said, I just said time, but I mean the extra time that you need to get the act done and not get caught in the same. All that has to happen. I wonder, not just forgive and forget. Like, does the woman forgive, or does the person who got cheated on forget? Does the person who did the cheating forget? Because that person who they cheated with, they had an intimate moment with, and they may run into them again. If they cheated with somebody from the job, if they cheated with somebody from a place that they frequent a lot, maybe the church or some crap like that, they're gonna see that person again. You see what I'm saying? And then when that interaction's there, how do you forget that we shared that intimate moment together? So that's different. Will the other person forget? Probably not. Will you forget? Maybe not either. And so that's a lot involved in that. Cheating is very involved.
We don't want to leave it like that. Go get help if you're dealing with this, because I'm depressed. Yeah, but no, that's serious. I know people that are dealing with it, so you know, I feel for you. That's got to be hard.
Can I say that? My uncle told me something that was real cool. He said once you're a cheater, that's a life decision. That's who you are at that point. You're a cheater, and that act will never be, like, fully erased. It came out. I know that's forgiveness, stuff like that. If you haven't cheated, and you're in a relationship and you have not cheated and you're married to somebody and you're, tempted, by all means, brother, sister, hold out. Don't change your life like that. That's how I would leave it. Don't change your life like that.
Is there any hope? I don't think anybody in this room has cheated, but is there any hope that we can give to somebody that has cheated?
And where they at? They've been forgiven by their spouse, or they
never told?
They've repented to God. We at least know that. Let's say that.
I would tell them this: don't prolong it. You don't have to tell it, because I've heard a situation recently where somebody got caught out, and it got prolonged, and then boom, it got blew up in his face. So
yeah, I've had to give this advice to somebody, and my advice was you gotta talk to your person. You gotta talk to your spouse, and I know you're afraid to lose them, but you gotta talk to them, because they may not know, but you know, and every time you're around them, you'll know, and you'll know that you're lying every single day to this person, and you may make it through your marriage, but it won't be what it should have been, because you'll know that you did something wrong. So you just gotta, you may lose her, but I think you gotta get that out.
Yeah, and I genuinely believe, I just believe that anybody that's, truly repentant in their heart, regardless of the consequences or the outcome, that God is going to honor their honesty and their obedience to, walk that path, regardless of how painful or how ugly it can be at times. I genuinely believe that God will honor that. And I don't know what that'll look like, or how that story will end, but, God, I believe, will honor our obedience and true repentance.
And maybe you'll lose them at first. You know what I mean? But maybe over time, once they forgive you, you can get them back. Maybe you lose them, you get divorced, everything happens. But maybe later, there's a remarriage, and then you get a chance to do it all over again. But at least you get a second.